हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द लाइव सेशन। तो आज हम देखेंगे एनसीईआरटी हिस्ट्री क्लास 11 का सेक्शन 2 एम्पायर्स, जिसमें कि आज हम देखेंगे थीम 2। पर अभी ये शुरू करते हैं। एन एम्पायर अक्रॉस 3 कॉन्टिनेंट्स, नोमैडिक एम्पायर्स। Empires. Over the 2 millennia that followed the establishment of empires in Mesopotamia, various attempts at empire building took place across the regions and in the area to the west and east of it. By the 6th century BCE, Iranians had established control over major part of the Assyrian Empire. Networks of trade developed overland as well as along the coast of Mediterranean Sea. In the eastern Mediterranean, Greek cities and their colonies benefited from improvements in trade that were the result of these changes. They also benefited from close trade with nomadic people to the north of the Black Sea. In Greece, for the most part, city-states such as Athens and Sparta were the focus of civic life. From among the Greek states in the late 4th century BCE, the ruler of the kingdom of Macedon, Alexander, undertook a series of military campaigns and conquered parts of North Africa, West Asia, and Iran, reaching up to the Bias. Here, his soldiers refused to proceed further east. Alexander's troops retreated though many Greeks stayed behind. Throughout the area under Alexander's control, ideals and cultural traditions were shared among the Greeks and the local population. The region on the whole became Hellenized. The Greek were called Hellenes, and Greek became a well-known language throughout. The political unity of Alexander's empire disintegrated quickly after his death, but for almost 3 centuries after, Hellenistic culture remained important in the area. The period is often referred to as the Hellenistic period in the history of the region, but this ignores the way in which other cultures, especially Iranian culture and associated with the old empire of Iran, were as important, if not more often important, than Hellenistic notions and ideas. This section deals with important aspects of what happened after this. Small but well-organized military forces of central Italian city-state of Rome took advantage of political discord that followed the disintegration of Alexander's empire and established control over North Africa and eastern Mediterranean Sea from the 2nd century BC. At the time, Rome was a republic. Government was based on a complex system of election, but its political institution gave some importance to birth and wealth, and society benefited from slavery. The forces of Rome established a network of trade between the states that had once been part of Alexander's empire. In the middle of the 1st century BCE, under Julius Caesar, a high-born military commander, this Roman Empire was extended to present-day Britain and Germany. Latin, spoken in Rome, was the main language of the empire, though many in the East continued to use Greek, and the Romans had a great respect for Hellenistic culture. There were changes in the political structure of the empire from the late 1st century BC, and it was substantially Christianized after Emperor Constantine became a Christian in the 4th century CE. To make government easier, the Roman Empire was divided into eastern and western halves in the 4th century CE. But in the west, there was a breakdown of arrangement that existed between Rome and the tribes in frontier areas, Goths, Visigoths, Vandals, and others. These arrangements dealt with trade, military recruitment, and settlement, and the tribes increasingly attacked the Roman administration. Conflict Conflicts increased in scale and coincided with internal dissensions in the empire, leading to the collapse of the empire in the west by the 5th century CE. Tribes established their own kingdoms within the former empire, though with the prompting of the Christian Church, a Holy Roman Empire was formed from some of these kingdoms from the 9th century CE. This claimed some continuity with the Roman Empire. Between the 7th century and the 15th century, almost all the lands of the Eastern Roman Empire centered, centered on Constantinople came to be taken over by the Arab Empire, created by the followers of the Prophet Muhammad, who founded the faith of Islam in the 7th century, and centered on Damascus, or by its successor, who ruled the Baghdad initially. There was a close interaction between Greek and Islamic tradition in the region. The trading networks of the area and its prosperity attracted the attention of pastoral peoples to the north, including various Turkic tribes, who often attacked the cities of the region and established control. The last to these people to attack the area and attempt to control it were the Mongols under Genghis Khan and his successor, who moved into West Asia, Europe, Central Asia, and China in the 13th century. All these attempts to make and maintain empires were driven by the search to control the resources of trading networks that existed in the region as a whole, and to derive benefit from the links of the regions with other areas such as India, China. All the empires evolved administrative system to give stability to trade. They also evolved different types of military organization. The achievements of one empire were often taken up by its successor. Over time, the area came to be marked by Persian, Greek, Latin, and Arabic, above many other languages that were spoken and written. The empires were not very stable. This was partly due to disputes and conflict over resources in various regions. It was also due to the crisis that developed in relation between empires and pastoral peoples to the north, from whom empires derived support both for their trade and to provide them with labor for production of manufactures and for their armies. It is worth noting that not all empires were city centric. The Mughal empires of Genghis Khan and his successor is a good example of how an empire could be maintained by pastoral people for a long time and with success. Religions that appealed to peoples of different ethnic origins who often spoke different languages were important in the making of large empires. This was true in the case of Christianity, which originated in Palestine in the early 1st century CE, and Islam, which originated in the 7th century CE. Timeline 2. This timeline focuses on kingdoms and empires. Some of these, such as Roman Empire, were very large, spreading across three continents. This was also the time when some of the major religious and cultural traditions developed. It was a time when institutions of intellectual activity emerged, books were written, and ideas traveled across continents. Some things that are now part of our everyday lives were used for the first time during this period. तो ये है टाइमलाइन जिसमें दिखाया गया है सब कॉन्टिनेंट के बारे में भी दिया गया है. तो यहाँ से हमारा शुरू होता है थीम 2 एन एम्पायर अक्रॉस 3 continents। तो शुरू करते हैं। The Roman Empire covered a vast stretch of territory that included most of Europe as we know it today and a large part of the Fertile Crescent and North Africa. In this chapter, we shall look at the way this empire was organized, the political forces that shaped its destiny, and the social groups into which people were divided. You will see that the empire embraced a wealth of local cultures and languages, that women had a stronger legal position than, than they do in many countries today, but also that much of the economy was run on slave labor, denying freedom to substantial numbers of persons from the 5th century on. The empire fell apart in west but remained intact and exceptionally prosperous in its eastern half. The caliphate, which you will read about in the next chapter, built on this prosperity and inherited its urban and religious traditions. Roman historians have a rich collection of sources to go on, which we can broadly divide into three groups: text, documents, and material remains. Textual sources include histories of the period written by contemporaries. These were usually called annals because the narrative was constructed on a year by year basis. Letters, speeches, sermons, laws, and so on. Documentary sources include mainly inscriptions and papyri. Inscriptions were usually cut on stone, so a large number survive. In both Greek and Latin, the papyrus was a reed like plant that grew along the banks of the Nile in Egypt and was processed to produce a writing material that was very widely used in everyday life. Thousands of contracts, accounts, letters, and official documents survive on papyrus and have been published by scholars who are called papyrologists. Material remains include a very wide assortment of items that mainly archaeologists discover, for example, through excavation and field survey. For example, building monuments and other kinds of structures, pottery, coins, mosaics, even entire landscape, for example, through the use of aerial photography. Each of these sources can only tell us just so much about the past, and combining them can be a fruitful exercise. But how well this is done depends on the historian's skill. तो दोस्तों आज मेरा तबीयत कुछ ज़्यादा ही ख़राब है, तो ये चैप्टर हम कल पढ़ेंगे। और आज के लिए मैं सेशन यहीं पर एंड कर रही हूँ। थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।